Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, Vijaya Pandit in Italy. Good evening. And good evening to all devotees around the world that are on different timelines for joining us in this program dedicated to the presentation of our philosophy through the unadulterated, unedited books of Srila Prabhupada, because this is a key part of our mission, is to provide this opportunity for people to have some exposure to the mission according to the philosophy that Srila Prabhupada presented to us. And this is very important because there has been so much contamination of this Vaishnava philosophy, of this sampradaya, by our God brothers, that it has become a fratricidal war. Yes, just like the Bhagavad-gītā. The Bhagavad-gītā was a fratricidal war between brothers, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And someone could say, well, how do you know you're representing the Pandavas and that your God brothers are the Kauravas? Well, every day for the last so many years, actually for the last 40 years, there have been multiple offenses committed against Srila Prabhupada, against his philosophy, and against his disciples. How many? Thousands. Not just a few, thousands. We're constantly being bombarded with this exposure. Just recently, the person that did the Peacock films appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast. This was this week. Now, Joe Rogan is an American podcaster. He has 100 million followers. He is the biggest podcaster in the world, and he's interviewing the director of Peacock Films. And I saw a comment on the films by Dharmatma, who was in the film. And he said, oh, this film doesn't even get close to exposing the reality of the contamination that took place in New Vrindavan. Not even close. I wrote back to him, I said, why don't you write, since he was in the film, why don't you write a book on it, telling the truth, since you were a part of the conspiracy to take over ISKCON by Bhaktipad. Srila, Mr. Srila, Keith Ham. Since you were a big part of it and you know the inside story, why don't you come forward and write another chapter? I'll contribute a chapter, I told him, because I have insight into the atrocities these people committed against ISKCON Toronto. They stole Prabhupada's murti out of the temple. They stole his shoes. Bhaktipad came to, Mr. Keith Ham came to Toronto with a dog. He was sleeping in a bedroom with a kid. This thing went on for years and years, these atrocities. And if you read Henry Dortowski's books, which are factual, you'll get insights that you'll be shocked to see. And when you see these films, you'll understand this is a war. Look what they did. And even we have with us our Prabhu Kṛṣṇa Kata in California. He was the key witness that put this Tirtha, who murdered Sulochan, in jail for life. He was also the key witness that put Keith Ham in jail for life and got out after so many years because of his weak condition. Is that a reality or is it a fictitious claim by us? No, it's a reality. Actually, it's an atrocity. I have to be frank with all of you. I'm so disappointed. Recently, I've been talking to devotees from Toronto. We bought the biggest temple in the world, practically speaking, outside of India, and it has been trashed by this guru system that they brought forward based on the resolutions of the GBC. It's absolutely disgusting. And today I'm appalled by hearing all of these things constantly being bombarded by devotees worldwide telling us of these atrocities. And everybody sits back and goes, well, I don't think you're saying the right thing. I don't think you're preaching according to what Prabhupada wanted. They never had any association with Prabhupada. They never did any direct association for Prabhupada. They have no achievements, and yet they point the finger. What is going on? This is a sign that this is a diseased state of existence that we're in. Very diseased. And some people will criticize us. Of course, they're going to. That's okay. What do you expect in a war? What do you expect when people are killing Srila Prabhupada's movement and his philosophy, and the people that stand up and say it's wrong, that this is a great offense against our spiritual master, will not be criticized? Oh, look what you did in the past. Look at how you fell down. Thank you very much. You're dwelling in the past. Dwelling on faults. You're dwelling in rumors. This is, of course, going to happen, Prabhus, when no one has any training. They never really lived in a temple. They don't know, but yet they've got an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. This is a war. Now, someone could say, well, why are you being so outspoken? Well, someone should speak. If everybody's afraid, if everybody's compromised, if everybody is hiding from the truth, then how will this movement go on without any correction? It won't. And this is the reality. Of course, today I'm getting all this information this week. It's just been hard on my mind. And so I'm expressing it to all of us so that we understand we are on a mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy. You know, myself and Yashoda and all of us here, the God brothers, and new and old, we have hundreds and hundreds of years of collective experience. Hundreds of years. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of direct association with Srila Prabhupada. And all we're doing in a humble way is trying to express this to some of the people that are coming to the class who have a genuine interest in understanding the truth of the matter. And gradually we're expanding. It's not everybody's interested. Not everybody can maintain themselves in this process, which goes on. And we are thankful that for the last few years, we've been, without fail, steady in this mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy in his unadulterated books. So that's enough of that. Let's go to the diaries, which have been very enlightening and informative for us, and realize that Prabhupada was in a difficult situation back in May 27th, 1966. He had very little success. And I wanted to make a comment about the diaries before we move forward. It was mentioned that the correct information was not available to the people that wrote Lilamrita. But why didn't they correct it after they found out the facts, instead of calling the person David Allen instead of Paul Murray? These are simple things that should have been done. This is, again, another farce in terms of the ISKCON work. Friday, the 27th of May, sunrise 4:36 a.m., sunset 7:19, moonset 1:05. Astami, today Paul was paid $2 for his expenditure. I saw a good apartment and lecture hall at 218 Park Row, Chatham Square. Paul typed practically the whole day. In the evening, there was a meeting. About 15 persons, both ladies and gentlemen, attended. The contribution was only $8.70. On Saturday, April 28th, Saturday, May 28th, not April, 1966, sunrise 4:35 a.m., sunset 7:19, moonsets 1:34. Navami, today Paul was paid $1 only for expenditure. In the afternoon, there was Sanskrit class and about 10 persons attended. The collection was only $6. One boy paid $6 for the books. He paid total $12. Today, I did not go to ashram because Carl engaged in time on Sunday 11 at 1 a.m. Income was $12. One letter received from the controller of exchange of Delhi. Expenditure was $1. There was an incident extraordinary at 10 night when I was typewriting. Paul became too much irritated, and I stopped typewriting. It was unusual due to his abnormal condition. Yeah, he was a nut. I just had one kicked out of my ashram this week, completely psychotic. So I learned from this pastime here how to deal with people that are mentally imbalanced. It was unusual due to his abnormal condition. Better to take precautions in the future. Yeah. Watch out. Sunday, May 29th, sunrise 4:35 a.m., sunset 7:20, moonset 2:10, 2:01. Dasami, there was no expenditure today. Carl came to dine with us. His address is noted. He is informed of last night's incident. Have told him that I wish to live in separate apartment. He is trying for that. So Prabhupada's already taken the warning. I gave him about the room which I have seen in the Chatham Tower's 16th floor. Monday, May 30th, 1966. We're a little bit ahead here. We're in May of 2024. Sunrise 4:34 a.m., sunset 7:21 p.m., moonsets 2:25. Codicy. Today, Paul was paid $2 for expenditures. He did not purchase all the articles that was ordered to him. I posted one letter to Sripad Tirtha Maharaj regarding seeing the finance ministry in India. The finance minister's letter will be registered tomorrow. In the evening, there was a meeting. About 10 students attended. The contribution was only $6.12. Mike brought his tampura, and it added to the tune of Sankirtan. Mr. Goldsmith has agreed to join the International Association for Krishna Consciousness. The income was $6.12. Expenditure was $2. Later, Mukunda Das and the lawyer handling the incorporation of the society. So that is Mukunda and his lawyer, Goldsmith. And on Tuesday, May 31st, sunrise 4:34 a.m., sunset 7:21 p.m., moonrise 2:25, Dwadasi. Today, I paid Paul $2 for expenditure, registration to Indian Embassy 80 cents, bitter melon 15 cents, $2.95 was total expenditures. In the afternoon, Mr. Robert Nelson came to see me. I requested him to become a member of the association. He agreed and paid $20 for the month of June 1966. This is deposited in the bank. I inquired for the Chatham Tower. At present, it is not possible to acquire a room there. It is very much a costly affair, but I have a strong desire to acquire a room there. One letter received from Punjab National Bank, Limited, Vrindavan, informing the account number and balance, etc. Expenditure was $2.95. Income was $20, and the bank deposit was $20. And here we have a beautiful picture of Prabhupada. This is coming into the future, the matchless gifts. So Prabhupada, you see how Krishna is guiding him. He's making an effort. Man proposes, God disposes. So he's guiding him to eventually end up at 26 2nd Avenue, where he begins his first official independent ashram temple. And then the movement starts to really take off, and new people join, and on it goes, and flourishes as we will continue to study forward. The wonderful pastimes of the early days of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our beloved spiritual master and our Acharya in this Sankirtan mission. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the class given by Yashodanandana Prabhu. Haribo.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kṛṣṇa Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kṛṣṇa Bihari Jai Amuspat Paramahansa Paribhrajagacharya Siddhare Srismadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Navacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giridharan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए और ग्लोरी टू द और ग्लोरी टू द थैंक यू वेरी मच
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam Narayanam namaskrityam Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayam mudirayet Tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and then 4. To Srila Vyasadeva, the author. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Thanks everyone for joining in this Saturday morning reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will be reciting the auspicious invocations that were introduced by Srila Prabhupada in 1966 from the beginning of the Bhagavad-gītā. I will repeat and we will read the translation. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this reading is being conducted on the basis of the 1972 Macmillan edition, non-edited, non-interpolated, non-adulterated edition, as opposed to the 1983 edited and interpolated edition. We'll be reading from chapter 10, text number 42. All synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement, and current Acharya of the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Atava bahunetena, kim yatena tavarjuna, kim yatena tavarjuna, vishtabhyaham midam Kṛṣṇam, vishtabhyaham midam Kṛṣṇam, ekam shena stito jagat, ekam shena stito jagat, atava, or bahuna, many, etena, by this kind, kim, what, jnatena, knowing, tava, you, Arjuna, O Arjuna, vishtabhya, entire, aham, I, idam, this, Kṛṣṇam, all manifestations, eka, one, amshena, part, stitaha, situated, jagat, in the universe. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by His entering into all things as the Super Soul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there's no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as Super Soul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. Worship of demigods is discouraged herein, because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva only represent part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than Him. He is Samata, which means that no one is superior to Him and no one is equal to Him. In the Vishnu mantra, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions and opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all-pervading by the expansion of His partial representation, the Super Soul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees therefore concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they're always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 to 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā in the matter of the opulence of the Absolute. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shwanyavadi Paschatya Devsatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataha Adadhana Strinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is a very important text from the Bhagavad-gītā, because Krishna here is explaining, he's very clearly saying, with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. As we all know, different philosophers, different learned persons, religionists, for thousands of years have made inquiries into the nature of the absolute truth. What is God? What is our relationship with God? What is the position of the living entities? What is the connection between the living entities and God? So many intelligent questions. And different philosophers have attempted to answer these questions in various ways since time immemorial. But here in Bhagavad-gītā, things are very clearly and definitely explained. Why? The very title of the book explained this. Gita means song. From whom? Bhagavat or Bhagavan. In the Vishnu Purana, Srila Prabhupada used to often quote this one verse by Parashara Muni, Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashaha shriyaha jnana vairagyajashcheva sannam bhaga itingana. That God or Bhagavan means one who's full of all opulences. What are these opulences? This is described. His full opulences, beauty, strength, knowledge, renunciation, fame, everything in full. When we read Bhagavad-gītā and Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the detailed activities of Lord Krishna's pastimes 5,000 years ago, we see all full opulences, the strongest person, the most famous person, the most beautiful person, the most kind person, everything is there. So Bhagavad-gītā has given us so many wonderful explanations, especially when someone reads with the purports of a fully liberated, pure devotee of Krishna, a fully realized person like Srila Prabhupada. Now, somebody may say, why does Srila Prabhupada, because somebody brought up this question to me recently, why does Srila Prabhupada repeatedly and constantly criticizes or condemns the worship of demigods in his books? We see here, in the second paragraph, Prabhupada is saying worship of demigods is discouraged herein, because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva only represent part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is samatha, which means that no one is superior to him, and that no one is equal to him. In the Vishnu mantra, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. Now, this is a verse that Srila Prabhupada used to often quote, Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devate Samatvena Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavedruvan, that one immediately becomes an atheist and a blasphemer, a fault finder, if one thinks that Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or in all these demigods are the same as Lord Narayana or Lord Krishna. It is not the same. The Mayavadis are very fond of quoting a verse where they claim just like the waters of the ocean all merge within the ocean, in the same way you offer worship to any gods or any demigod, it all goes to Keshava. But this is not the proper philosophy. It has been explained by our great Vaishnavacharyas, such as Srila Prabhupada, Sripad Madhvacharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya, and so many others, that even though the waters of the rivers go into the ocean, the molecules of the water still remain individual. The individual soul never merges with the Supreme Soul. Somebody may say, well, where is that? Well, this is right in the beginning of Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 2, text 11. Text number 12 is not complicated. In text number 12, Lord Krishna explains, this is a very important verse. Natvevaham jatunasam, natvam jene janadipaha, nacheva na bhavishyamaha, sarvevayam ataparam. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. And Prabhupada explains in a third paragraph in the purport, the Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul separated by the covering of Maya or illusion will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the supreme authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future, the individuality of the Lord and others, as is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Kṛṣṇa is authoritative , because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. So this is a very important point. Srila Prabhupada came, we repeat this prayer every day. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tenamini. Then the second prayer, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini, that we offer our respects unto you, that you have come to spread the Gauravani, the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatyadeshatarani. You have come to the Western country to defeat this nonsense, Mayavadi, impersonalism, and nihilism, voidism. Because Vaishnava philosophy is based upon the Bhagavad-gītā. It's based upon Krishna's instruction in the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. It is not complicated to understand. It is not difficult to understand. This is a personal philosophy explaining the relationship between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. We see in the Western countries, there's so much advertisements for yoga practice. People are thinking that yoga means some gymnastics. Yes, there is a kind of yoga like that, to engage in various breathing exercises and control. Unfortunately, most people do not understand the purpose of yoga. Most of these practitioners don't even know the meaning of the word yoga. Yoga comes from a Sanskrit root called yug, means to join, to connect the individual soul with the super soul. The Atma, the Jiva Atma, means individual soul with the Param Atma, the Supreme Soul. This is the idea. And that connection is best achieved in this age by the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is significant that Srila Prabhupada used to often quote, we had the opportunity so many times to go on various morning walks with His Divine Grace. And several times Prabhupada would chant his japa, because Prabhupada was not talking every single second of the walk. Many times he would be chanting japa, and then he would come up with that verse, which is known to everyone. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. That in this age of Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only method of self-realization, of spiritual realization, of spiritual advancements is to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. This is repeated 3 times. Very important point. And so many other Vedic literatures confirms this. We see in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita how Prabhupada quotes from Sripad Madhvacharya, where he explains that in the Narayana Samhita, there is a quote that explains Dwaparayera Janer Vishnuhu Pancharatres tu Kevalai Kalau tu Nama Matrena Pujyate Bhagavan Harihi. In the previous age, in Dwapara Yuga, the recommended practice and path of self-realization was to engage in elaborate deity worship, according to the Pancharatra literatures. Very elaborate. We see in South India especially, there are many big deities such as Govinda in Tirupati, in Chennai or Madras. There is a big, huge deity of Lord Vishnu, the Imparthasarati, in so many places. Some of this worship predates Kali Yuga. in previous yuga. Dwapariyera Janer Vishnu Pancharataristu Kevale. But in this age, Kalotu Nama Matrena, by chanting the name of Krishna, one worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the recommendation of all the Vedic scriptures. We've often discussed the history of this chant of the Maha Mantra from the Kali Santarana Upanishad. This is a very short, very brief Upanishad. This is a conversation between Lord Brahma, the chief engineer in the universe, and his son Narada Muni, where Narada Muni was inquiring from Lord Brahma, what is the best method for living entities to be liberated from the influence of the Kali Yuga? And Lord Brahma explained to him the history of the Maha Mantra. And Srila Prabhupada is quoted from that Upanishad in his purports in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that iti shodashakam nam, these 16 names, Kali Kalmasanasanam, can destroy all the negative influence of Kali Yuga. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there are so many difficulties, so many negative influences. Iti shodashakam nanam Kali Kalmasanasanam nata parataropeyaha. There is no superior method than this. Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. All the Vedas recommend this method of chanting, this Maha Mantra, this very divine transcendental mantra, very powerful mantra. So this is very important. Prabhupada has given this mantra. He's still giving this mantra every day for those who are willing to hear. The mantra is there. The transcendental information of the meaning of the mantra is there. The message of Bhagavad-gītā is there. The message of Srimad Bhagavatam is there. Everything is there. What is most important is to receive the mantra and follow the instructions of the Acharya. That is very important. We see in the conversation between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri, he was advised by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in his trip to South India to stop and see Ramananda Roy and discuss with him. Ramananda Roy was a governor of the state of Madras at that time, which had very extensive area, much larger than what it is now. And he had very elaborate discussions with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the foremost instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted from Ramananda Roy was summarized in a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Stanistitaha srutigatan tanuvan manobir. This is explained that one should remain in whatever situation he may be and hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because by hearing this message, it is described that one can conquer the inconquerable. One can get the favor, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very simple. This is a very important point. It is not complicated to understand. Simply want us to hear the message, the non-adulterated message. We've talked in this discussion several times how some followers influenced by Maya or illusion started to change and edit and re-edit and supplementary edit so many of Prabhupada's original books. When this came to the attention of Srila Prabhupada in 1977, he was not happy that so many changes were being made from his original first editions under the plea of so-called editing. Prabhupada refused. He did not like this. He stated they cannot change anything. The next printing again should be the original way. That is not difficult to understand. One should seek the original, unadulterated, non-adulterated books of Srila Prabhupada and make a point of every single day of reading and studying the message. In this way, one will become qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Yashodanandana Prabhu, thank you for that wonderful explanation. And it's interesting to note that Prabhupada not only preached the philosophy of Krishna consciousness without adulteration, without change. As I mentioned earlier, Prabhupada was being glorified by people around the world that he had created all these miracles. Oh, you're doing amazing things, because they saw him attracting people to take up spiritual life as he started to progress in his work. But he said, I know no miracles. The only miracle is that I presented the philosophy of my spiritual master without any change. So this is the key to spiritual understanding, to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotee. And that is very important for us as disciples to always remember this, that Prabhupada is with us in sound. And if we take shelter of him and follow his instructions and hear carefully from him, then we will become enlightened. This is the system, the bona fide system to make advancement. God is all powerful, as expressed in this verse. This is the business of all people, actually, is to understand God. And Prabhupada explained this philosophy without any adulteration. And that is how the Bhagavad-gītā is expressed as it is. He gave the clear understanding of the meaning of the philosophy without any personal motivation. Kṛṣṇa says, without a single fragment of with a single fragment of myself, single fragment, I pervade and support this entire universe. And Prabhupada set the perfect example. He set the example personally, how to understand this truth. Krishna is not a cheap thing. One has to follow the example of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada did in his practical life. We're reading the biographies, or the diaries, not the biography, the diaries, and we're getting deep insight into how Prabhupada was going through the different stages of his trouble to spread Krishna consciousness, and how he did not falter in his focus on fulfilling the order of his spiritual master. So I was looking at some Yashoda Prabhu, I was looking at a picture of Prabhupada in Montreal. When he came to Toronto, he came with a little plastic bag. It was about this big. That was his possessions. Prabhupada didn't travel with possessions. And Prabhupada did not have a residence. So Lord Chaitanya was like that. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, even though, and if we think about it, Krishna appears as Lord Chaitanya. And how did he conduct himself? He was the personification of renunciation, of total detachment from the material world, which is a world of illusion, which is a world of mental speculation, which is a world of mental concoction. That's what people do. It's a world of prajalpa, nonsense conversations, mundane music. Everything is frivolous compared to the eternal opportunity of a devotee who can transcend this material world by the mercy of the association of a pure devotee who gives us insight into how Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya, demonstrated this. Now, interesting to note, Prabhus, I'm reading forward in Anchalila, quite interestingly, and I'm noticing that Lord Chaitanya had no residence. No residence. Very interesting. How people love to think, oh, my house, my car, my family, my bank balance. What was Lord Chaitanya trying to teach us? That this world has no value if it doesn't have Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya, Vijaya Pandit, think about it. He had no money. Everybody's so much enamored with having and acquiring wealth. But the fact of the matter is, Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has all opulences, all the money, practiced a life of complete renunciation and focus on serving the Supreme Lord as the perfect example. And Prabhupada also did the same thing. Lord Chaitanya had no comfortable bed. The devotees were trying to arrange a bed for him, trying to arrange a blanket, trying to arrange a pillow. And he got angry with them. Do not provide me anything. I don't want people to think that I am some kind of attached person. This is not the good example of a sannyasi. He set the highest standard of renunciation for a sannyasi. They tried to bring him perfumed oils. No, he wouldn't accept them. He would not accept anything to demonstrate any principles that were against the sannyas order of life. He had no attachment to anything mundane, nothing. Now, recently I went to a funeral, and I know all of us are going to funerals. Vijaya Pandit mentioned in the comments, oh, I see you called me, but I was at a funeral. Okay, we all go to funerals. We start to see that around us, the whole world that we knew is disappearing. That time and tide wait for no man. But somehow or other we think, oh, we'll live on. That things will be all right. No, they won't. This material world is a place of suffering, of misery. And the blessings of Lord Chaitanya and the blessings of Srila Prabhupada are to give us insights how to get out of this cycle of birth and death. This is the real gift of Srila Prabhupada and of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for those people that follow this process, according to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, and study the philosophy very carefully. This is one thing that Yashodanandana Prabhu is helping us all do. Forensically review every aspect of the philosophy. Because unfortunately, we see within this tradition, there are lots of opinions, lots of interpretations, and lots of people being misguided by people who are teaching philosophy based on personal motive. Oh, yes. They're misrepresenting the whole thing because it's become A business? Oh, yes. And a business is something that you have to carefully protect. Otherwise, you lose customers. You start to fail. So, our philosophy, our practices must be in line with Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and the examples we set for each other are based on his example. And in this way, we can march forward as a group, unified with some strength, Dharma Bhavana, some strength of purpose. Not just bhajananandis, people that are interested in protecting their own so-called devotional creeper. Oh yes, we should protect our creeper, no question. But how to do it properly is by working together cooperatively to spread the Sankirtan movement according to Prabhupada's instructions. And then we'll understand how Krishna is so great. And with a single fragment of his potency, he pervades and supports this entire universe. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Maybe you can make a comment further.
Yeah, they're just asking me to come in the kitchen, but I'll make a comment. Thank you. Yeah, we're having a situation right now. There's many persons want to become followers of Prabhupada around the world, but it appears that many have a problem with being the younger devotees that really don't want to listen. It's really even after just a year or two of practice, there's still a whole lot to learn. And I was thinking how, on a little bit different note, back in 1996, they had the 100-year celebration of Prabhupada's birthday. It was a beautiful time, beautiful celebrations, but I was thinking how no one presented a history of what happened in Prabhupada's mission. So many kirtans, even they had water from so many sacred places coming, joined together. And then in 2016, they had the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada's official organization. And there was an opportunity also at that time to present some kind of a history for Prabhupada's pleasure of what had happened since he started the mission in 1966. But no history was presented. And then so it came a few years later, about 8 years ago, I started writing the history in Texas of what Prabhupada did, what he said. And it was very incomplete, but I tried my best to do something. So it seems like it's really important to understand the history. And I want to, thank all the devotees and the Prabhupada Disciples Association for actually arranging your whole lives to present this so that we could actually learn a whole lot. So these are just some of the comments I had today. It seems like it's really important. And I can understand how a lot of devotees didn't want to present the history because, as you're describing earlier today, it's really not been about following. It's been so much chaos. And anyway, thanks to all the devotees for this Prabhupada Disciples Association. That's all. Haribol.
Yashoda, could you further elaborate?
Yeah, this is a very important point that is raised here.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm saying that is hold on. Okay. The reason it's very important, during the Prabhupada Centennial, we were in Badger, California, and we tried to have some discussions with the leader, not the leader, but the leaders of ISKCON about what happened to the mission, especially since Prabhupada departed, and they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to have any such discussions of what happened to the mission. They obviously knew that there was a lot of dissension amongst the followers of Prabhupada, a lot of unfortunate divisions. They didn't want to hear it because ultimately this mission is not simply for making money. This is not a mission for money and prestige. This is a mission for the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I wanted to take this opportunity, I've mentioned this many times when we have those classes A lot of times the day before the class, I will do a little bit of research on Vanipedia or some website to look at all the different lectures that Prabhupada gave. Yesterday, I did that on this specific verse of Bhagavad-gītā, and there's dozens and dozens of references with wonderful lectures in his Bhagavatam, in lectures on Chaitanya Charitamrita, different discussions. It's quite amazing, the amazing encyclopedic knowledge of Srila Prabhupada, of how he's explaining the same verse in so many different angles, from so many different versions. It's quite, this is, in other words, it gives us a little bit of a realization of the amazing knowledge and devotional power of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to read one purport. For example, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 78. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 78. In the purport, Prabhupada explains, in the Vedic hymns also, the Supreme Brahman is described as Antapravishta Shasta. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is controlling everything and entering into everything. The Brahma Samhita 535 further confirms this. Andantarashta Paramanu Chayantarashtam. He has entered not only the universes, but even the atom. In Bhagavad-gītā 10:42, Krishna also says, Vishtabhyaham idam Kṛṣṇam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls everything by entering into everything. By associating constantly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his heart, Dhruva Maharaj naturally became equal to the greatest Brahman by his association, and thus became the heaviest, and the entire universe trembled. In conclusion, a person who always concentrates on the transcendental form of Krishna within his heart can very easily strike the whole world with wonder at his activities. And if we read through the lines here in the last sentence, this is an indirect reference to Srila Prabhupada's activities of preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
That's true, very, very true. And I had a chance, I was in Sridham Mayapur on the wall that you built, Yashodanandana. We were staying on the wall, and we had gone to the Sridhar Swami ashram the year prior with permission from Srila Prabhupada. I think Bhavananda Prabhu got the permission from Prabhupada to go to this ashram up the Ganges River. And it was quite exotic, I must say. Very, very, for all of us from Canada, from Hamilton, Steeltown, to find ourselves in dhotis and kurtas with shaved heads and tilak, bead bags, all of a sudden plucked out of the Western society, and there we were in India. We went to that ashram. It was quite interesting. We got there. There was a large gang of us. I don't know if you were there. And they had a big kirtan. It was led by a godbrother, I believe, of Srila Prabhupada, Kṛṣṇa Das Kaviraj. I think that was his name, Kṛṣṇa Babaji. He was quite brilliant, actually, and with our musical background back then, we heard him chant and play the mridanga. It was so ecstatic for us. We were innocent souls, so we got a chance to have some exposure to this deep culture of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the following year, we were on the wall, and we invited Kṛṣṇa Das Babaji to come to our room. So somehow or other, he came to the room, and we had a chant. together. I think Uddhama Shloka was there, Hiranyagarbha, Jagadananda, a bunch, Nandikeshwar, myself, who was the president of Montreal. I think we had 8 or 9 people there. We had a kirtan and chanting session with Kṛṣṇa Das Babaji in our room. It was very ecstatic, to be honest. I think it lasted for over 2.5 hours. And he led the kirtan. And at the end, they recorded the chant, and then I spoke to him. I said, Prabhu, and Prabhupada has spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And he was a very jovial Vaishnava. We cheered and he laughed. And we celebrated this grand achievement that Srila Prabhupada had manifested, as you mentioned in that quote there. That although Prabhupada was not personally glorifying himself, the fact of the matter is he was representing Lord Chaitanya like no one else in the history of the world. For whatever time, circumstance, and situation that we're in, Prabhupada has manifested himself. This is not a small thing. Do not minimize this. Do not minimize Prabhupada's success. Do not minimize his disciples. Do not minimize the mission. Because if you do, that will minimize you. We are marching forward with the banner of Srila Prabhupada as founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the greatest preacher in the history of the modern world, who fulfilled the prophecy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kṛṣṇa Das, Kṛṣṇa Katha in California, I see him. He's got his banner on. How are you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhu, thank you. Such a wonderful class, Yashoda. Always spot on. A great preacher you are. We appreciate. I do have a wonderful incident that just occurred. So Lalitanath is the Jagannath mug that you see. He's staying with me. And
Is he okay?
a couple weeks ago, he and I visited a Sattvic eatery. And
Okay.
subsequently to that first visit, I went back to buy a stack of chapatis, perfectly made and offered. So I'm standing there and a woman is behind me, and I turned and I said, "Have you been here before?" She goes, I'm here all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, wow." And then she sees my Tulsi beads on my neck. She goes, "You're a Hare Krishna?" I said, "Well, I'm an aspiring devotee of Srila Prabhupada." And she said, "My mom is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada." So we exchanged numbers, and then fast forward yesterday, this is 4 weeks ago, this Mataji calls me out of the blue. And her name is Purna Chandra. She had direct association with Srila Prabhupada in London and Los Angeles. She wore the headphones connected to Prabhupada's reel-to-reel and typed what he dictated. And she did that for years. And she's living in Fresno, California. So I'm like, "You need to join the PDA, the Prabhupada." So she's all excited. So this is the glory of what you are doing for Prabhupada. This has been pleasing to Prabhupada because it's bringing disciples back to hearing, once again, his real message. So I'm in contact with this Mataji, and you could just tell she was just coming out of her shell. And she said, "I still chant Gayatri, but I just don't have any association." Well, I said, "Well, you do now." So I wanted to relay that wonderful incident that just happened as a result of Lalitanath saying we should go here. And then I go there a week later to buy a stack of chapatis. And now there's a devotee, a Prabhupada disciple in Fresno wanting to get this association again. And she has wonderful pastime stories about some of the things that happened. Like one of them she relayed was really interesting, I'll tell you, and then I'll stop for others to speak. But she said at one point she's listening, and Prabhupada, her words, goes into a trance, a samadhi. And so there's just this moment and after moment going by, and then he comes out of it and starts dictating again. So these are some of the nectar stories that are coming out from devotees that are out there and they just don't have a way to associate with devotees. That's why this is such a wonderful, I mean, this is Krishna's arrangement. No way would this happen by me or Lalitanath, saying we need to go find a devotee. No, this is Krishna finding the devotees for us directly. Thank you, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol, thank you very much. Very interesting. And this Yashodanandana Prabhu, we can see that every week, like we've had hundreds of people come to the classes. We've had hundreds of people leave because it takes determination to stay fixed in a sadhana program like this, because that's what it is. Because we don't have the regular morning program where we get up all together at 3:30, take the shower, go downstairs, greet the deities, have the Mangal Arti, a Tulsi Puja, Japa class, then the Vyas Puja, the offering to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Puja, I should say, like that, then Srimad Bhagavad. It's a different schedule, a different system. But we are saying this: if you do come to these programs, if you do participate, if you can sacrifice 4.5 hours a week of your busy schedule to hear the philosophy in association with like-minded devotees, you will become inspired to chant your rounds, to follow the regulated principles, to study the books, and distribute prasadam, and desire to develop a working relationship with us. Then we will see magical things will happen in the future. This is all under Krishna's arrangement. This isn't our arrangement. This is Krishna's arrangement. This is Prabhupada's arrangement for all of us to become, just like you were telling me, Kṛṣṇa, you feel your spiritual life has been revived through this association. You're a very sincere devotee. You've been through all kinds of hardships, all kinds of difficulties. You were like a person on a boat out in the ocean just floating. Then all of a sudden, whatever it was, but you didn't give up hope. And here, Kṛṣṇa, by our situation that we've been blessed with all of our members here, by the way, and we do appreciate everybody helping us in our efforts. And we do always need that. I wanted to get Venkat Prabhu to please, if you could search in your database and show the invitation that we created for other people. I wanted him to show this on the screen because it is an invitation to people that you meet on the street or in different circumstances where you have an opportunity to present something to them, this invitation to attend our classes. And here it is here. It's a free Zoom online classes, self-improvement, mental health, self-realization, bhakti yoga. So it's presenting the original books, and it gives people all the contact information. So if you want this invitation in a print format, you can print this where you are, Kṛṣṇa.
Yes.
You can ask Venkat to send you, Venkat, if you could send him a copy of this, and anybody else that requests this in our classes. And in this way, you have some kind of a vehicle to give people a handout that there's a reference from them so that they can come back or come to us and be a part of this ecstatic. Look at that. We invite you to join us for our regular classes, subscribe to our monthly spiritual newsletter, and benefit from this transcendental movement. So these are tools that we have. We have newsletters. We have over 200 classes, heading for 300 online. And we have all different varieties of projects for book publications, etc., that we're making plans for in the future. So if you want to participate, just get in touch with us. We're always available, especially Yashoda, myself, and a group of us to talk with you and associate and advance this mission of Srila Prabhupada for the benefit of human society. Yashoda Nandana Prabhu, if you could further comment.
There's a lot of wonderful devotees on this call. I don't know if Narasimha Prabhu is still there. I thought he was there in the beginning. If you would like to make a few comments, that would be nice if he's available, or if his audio system is available. Are you there, Narasimha Prabhu? Hare Krishna. I guess not. We
Maybe
have Neil
Sharma or Jonas Priya? Yeah, Neil Sharma. He's always got a wonderful comment or perspective on the
Hare Krishna.
philosophy that we love to hear
Hare Krishna,
about.
Prabhuji.
You've got a fresh energy for us, even though you're older like both of us. I love the fresh energy. Go ahead.
Hare
You got a
Krishna,
young
Prabhuji.
voice. You
Yes,
got a
thank
young
you.
voice. Young voice.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today I'm a little bit under the weather, just kind of recovering from the flu. So I was just kind of trying to listen in. But yes, it is interesting what Yashodanandan Prabhu had shared, that if you keep Krishna in the heart, you can do wonderful things. And this is a direct reference to Srila Prabhupada. So we as conditioned soul, if we were to remember Srila Prabhupada in anything and everything we do, we will be able to do wonderful things. And an example of that is this week, just this last week, Akshaya Patra, which is the food for life kind of a parallel, which ISKCON Bangalore has started, was recognized by the United Nations. The United Nations permanent mission, Indian permanent mission to the United Nations recognized Akshaya Patra as one of the major ones, because now they're serving they have served more than 2 billion meals to the children. And of course, this is prashadam which is being distributed. And so recognition will come as long as we follow on the path of purity. Although, as Prabhupada says, let purity be thy force. And so, even if you do desire to have a routine, like as you just mentioned, Vishwakarma Prabhu, about morning Mangala Aarti and rising together and chanting and doing Guru Puja and all that, there are a few temples which have been opened up here also in the United States under the guise of under the name of Indian Heritage Foundation. And so they have one temple in Milpitas, California. They have one in Boston. They have one in New Jersey, and they are having small little cells. But this is so wonderful that when we have so many people coming together, I think we should all band together. Those who have been truly touched and want to keep Srila Prabhupada as the only initiating and Shiksha and Diksha Guru, we should all put them all into one kind of umbrella and have a common forte to not only motivate each other, but to motivate new souls, innocent jivas who are being misdirected in the other direction with the other camp. So I think it's a great thing that what Krishna Katha Prabhu is doing, what everybody is doing over here. So in our own little way, if we can get a forum where people can share these pastimes, these interesting things which happen. And who says Srila Prabhupada is not there? Srila Prabhupada is there. He's helping us out. He has, and if you look at it, he's guiding us. So there is no question in my mind as far as listening to these pastimes and how they are motivating each other. Just like how Yashodananda Prabhu is researching before class each and every lecture of Srila Prabhupada and seeing the different perspectives. Even today, Srila Prabhupada is teaching us through him. And we are all being conduits. Nimitta Matrani. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada. Jonas Priya in Hawaii. Maybe you could share a last comment here before we move for the kirtan. Jonas Priya in Hawaii, my good friend. Very good devotee, very sincere. I know it's a bit early there for him. No Jonas Priya. Jonas Priya, Prabhu, are you there? No, it doesn't look like he is. So thank you everyone for your participation today in the discussion. It's not our intent to offend anybody or discourage anybody, but to work on understanding without any confusion the actual message of Lord Chaitanya given through the lips of the pure devotee A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We must study these books very carefully, analyze them, and express the truth to others so that everyone can benefit from the wonderful opportunity that we have as a group to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Glories to the Sankirtan movement. Let's move forward with the kirtan and then the Vanchakalpa prayers and then the end of the show. Haribol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating. We'll see you all tomorrow from Srimad Bhagavatam class at 7 o'clock Pacific time, California time, 10 o'clock Toronto, Canada time, or Eastern time. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya.
Jai.